You have called yourself lazy more times than you can count. Lazy for not going to the gym. Lazy for not starting the project. Lazy for lying on the couch scrolling instead of doing the one thing you actually wanted to do today. Here is the truth almost nobody tells you. You are not lazy. Your brain is drowning in stimulation, and what looks like laziness from the outside is actually a nervous system that is too fried to do anything that does not deliver an instant reward. This is not an excuse. It is an explanation, and once you understand it, you can finally fix the actual problem instead of punishing yourself for the wrong one. Think about your evenings lately. You get home, you tell yourself you will read, or exercise, or work on the thing that matters to you, and instead you end up face down in your phone for 2 hours, watching short clips you will not remember tomorrow. Afterward comes the familiar voice. What is wrong with you? Why can you not just do the simple thing you said you would do? You call it laziness, and the label sticks because it is the easiest explanation available. Lazy people do not do things. You did not do the thing. Case closed. But if you actually look closely, something strange is happening. The same person who cannot start a book can watch 4 hours of short videos without blinking. The same person who cannot begin a workout can scroll a feed at 2 in the morning, wide awake, fully engaged. That is not what laziness looks like. Laziness is low energy across the board. This is something else entirely. High energy, fully engaged, just aimed at the wrong target. Here is what is really going on. Your brain runs on a chemical called dopamine, and dopamine is released whenever you experience something new, rewarding, or stimulating. Short videos, fast cuts, bright notifications, and endless feeds are engineered deliberately to deliver dopamine as fast and as often as physically possible. Your brain adapts to whatever level of stimulation it regularly receives. Feed it constant, high-intensity stimulation all day, and normal tasks start to feel unbearably slow by comparison. A book feels boring. Not because books got worse, but because your baseline for what counts as interesting has been dragged upward by hours of rapid-fire content every single day. This is overstimulation, and it is not a personality trait. It is closer to a kind of sensory overload, the same way bright light leaves your eyes unable to see in a dim room right afterward. Your attention has been trained on stimulation so intense that anything slower now reads as nothing at all. Here is what makes this so hard to catch in yourself. Overstimulation does not feel like a medical or neurological issue from the inside. It feels like a moral one. You sat down to work and you could not focus, so the natural conclusion is that you lack discipline, when the real issue is that your nervous system is running on a kind of chemical debt. And the trap deepens, because the very thing that soothes the discomfort of understimulation is more stimulation. You feel restless trying to read, so you check your phone, which delivers a small hit of relief, which then makes the book feel even slower the next time you try. Every escape into stimulation raises the bar a little higher for what counts as engaging, so tomorrow needs slightly more intensity than today did. Meanwhile, the culture around you keeps calling this laziness, in articles, in comment sections, in your own head. So you keep trying to fix a discipline problem with more willpower, when the actual problem is a stimulation environment your willpower was never designed to fight alone. And the shame makes it worse, not better. Calling yourself lazy adds a layer of guilt on top of an already exhausted nervous system, and guilt is not a fuel that produces focus. It just adds another draining feeling for your brain to manage, which leaves even less capacity for the slow, effortful task you were trying to do in the first place. Here is the principle that changes how you see this completely. Motivation is not a fixed trait you either have or lack. It is relative to your current dopamine baseline, and that baseline moves depending on what you have been feeding it. If your baseline has been raised by hours of rapid, high-intensity content, then slower, meaningful activities will always feel unbearably dull by comparison, no matter how much you actually want to do them. This has nothing to do with your character. It is simply how a stimulation-driven brain compares options, which means the real fix is not forcing yourself harder into the slow task. The real fix is lowering your baseline first so that ordinary life becomes engaging again on its own terms. You are not broken. Your baseline is just set too high, and baselines can be reset. So how do you lower an overstimulated baseline without pretending the modern world does not exist? 4 shifts. First, build small windows of boredom on purpose. A walk with no phone. 5 minutes staring out a window with nothing playing. This feels uncomfortable at first, almost unbearably so, and that discomfort is the actual signal that your baseline is starting to reset. Sit through it rather than escaping it. Second, put a real gap between waking up and the first scroll of the day. The first 30 minutes shape how your nervous system calibrates for the rest of the day. Starting immediately with rapid, high-intensity content sets an aggressive baseline before you have even had breakfast. Third, choose one slow activity daily and protect it like medicine, not a chore. A walk without headphones, a real conversation, a single chapter of a real book. These are not extra tasks on top of your day. They are the treatment for the exact problem we are describing. Fourth, notice the urge to reach for your phone the moment a task gets slightly boring, and let 10 seconds pass before you act on it. You are not banning the phone forever. You are simply rebuilding your tolerance for the small gap of discomfort that sits right before real focus begins. None of this requires perfect discipline or deleting every app you owned. It requires consistently giving your nervous system moments of lower stimulation, so ordinary life has room to feel interesting again. Expect the first week or two to feel worse before it feels better. Lowering a raised baseline is uncomfortable in the same way stepping out of a hot shower into cool air is uncomfortable, briefly sharp, then completely fine once your body catches up. That discomfort is not a sign the plan is failing. It is usually the clearest sign that it is working. Picture this a few months from now. You sit down to read, and the first page does not feel like climbing a wall. A quiet evening does not immediately trigger the urge to fill it with something louder. Ordinary moments, a walk, a conversation, a slow morning, start to feel like enough again. You did not become a different person. Your baseline simply came back down to a level where real life, the slow, meaningful kind, can compete again. The same tasks you once avoided as lazy suddenly feel approachable, not because you found more willpower, but because your nervous system finally has room to want them. That is the real story here. You were never lazy. You were overstimulated, running on a baseline built by an environment designed to raise it constantly. Lower the baseline, and the motivation you thought you lost was there the entire time, just waiting for the noise to quiet down enough to hear it. Here is where to start today. Pick one small window, 10 minutes, and spend it doing nothing stimulating at all. No phone, no scrolling, just quiet. It will feel strange. That strangeness is the beginning of your baseline coming back down. If this changed how you see yourself, subscribe. I make videos like this every week for people who are done calling themselves lazy for a problem that was never about laziness at all. See you in the next one.